Oh, what's up, Tavarishi? Hope you've been having a good time in these fleeting last moments of summer and haven't been completely choked out of life by your employers or governments. I come to you today in a rather mean-spirited fashion. You know, I've been making a completely different video for this release. That's why it took so much time. But a great Jacobin or whatever way it's pronounced article brought to my attention something rather different. So, many of you cringe and spasm at the Hail Mary praises billionaires get when they quote-unquote share their wealth with the less fortunate, through charity. On the other side, probably quite a few of you are fond of these actions and therefore indirectly fond of these monetarily successful people. I'm here not to explain any individual ill intent behind people who, donate to charity, but instead my goal is to display the core discrepancy between the illusionary greatness of philanthropy and its rather problematic influence on how we view society.
We those believe in the idea of philanthropy tell us about our society.
A philanthropic mentality spreads the belief that to achieve wider justice for the common man, one should do it in synergy with the most successful amongst us, the entrepreneurial or family billionaire. It is through the free market and their ingenious minds that one can reach a fairer world overall. At least that's what they'd like you to believe. This mentality is deeply rooted in the status quo and the complete rejection of any alternative to capitalism. Only when one starts believing that capitalism is the singular and only path humanity can take, like Thatcher or the Clintons have many a time said, do we commonly as a mass society not only accept hand-me-downs, but start celebrating them. If the status quo is kept, then the philanthropic bourgeois manage to distance themselves from their own class, which does not participate in sharing their expendable income. This PR trick has worked since the dawn of time. When we called landlords just and kind for not taxing us 70% on the food that we grow, but taking 60%, making them, in our eyes, kind and just lords because they were less of a parasite compared to our neighbor's landowner who still took 70% instead of 60%. Opinions and attitudes towards any ruling elite are paramount to its survival, as most of you probably know. Revolutions are no longer crushed, now they're simply prevented from happening. Philanthropy is inherently arguing that the astounding rates of suffering around the world are not a byproduct of capitalism, but are rather a show of inefficiency of those local people which live in poverty. And therefore, charity seems to put forward the notion that the only way those can be helped is through an injection of capital. Philanthropy argues that the poor are there because of their own actions, and that only their betters are the ones who can save them. This viewpoint completely undermines the profound influence the richest have over the poorest, and moves attention over to how the poor should be grateful to the rich, and not vice versa.
How philanthropy must persuade the economic movement.
Philanthropy is oxymoronical. It's an attempt to minimize the amount of suffering going on around the world without addressing the key sources of this suffering. Not only is it misguided in its intent, but it's also statistically faulty. The world economy might be very globalized at this point, but it's also polarized, meaning that economic powerhouses survive on the basis of positive trade and consumption increase with developing nations. Companies which profit from mass sales cannot expand to markets which cannot afford their product. For example, how is Apple supposed to sell iPhones in a struggling country like, Sierra Leone? What they do instead is increase the local life standard just enough so that their consumption capability is at a satisfactory rate for conglomerates in first world countries. Of course, while at the same time minimizing their actual growth towards economic independence, because who wants that? I'm going to quote a great article by Dr. Leah Hunt Hendricks, which you can find in the description. It's basically a very good piece that analyzes a lot of different data and statistics that we have on the actual exchange rate between struggling nations and prosperous ones, economically prosperous ones. So let's start. According to the nonprofit The Rules, though rich countries give aid to poorer countries on the order of around 130 billion per year, sounds like a lot, right? They are simultaneously taking about $900 billion out of poor countries each year in through trade mispricing, $600 billion in debt services, and about $500 billion through trade rules that give them access to cheap labor and raw materials. Altogether, that is $2 trillion that are extracted from some of the world's poorest countries and exported to some of the richest. You see now, they take and take some more and then give 10% back and call it charity. They call it philanthropy. I don't know about you, but this makes me angry. At least open capitalists are honest about what they do. They put personal prosperity in front of all others, including their own morals, and I can honestly respect transparency of these individuals. But all these other parasitic moguls that go to bed thinking they're saving the kurva world might just be the most overwhelmingly cartoonish, sketch-like characters that walk this earth. Finally, let's end this short video in a rather neutral, semi-philosophical note. The choice to give up one's own material possession in order to help someone else is always to be commendable. I'm not arguing this. But keyword there being giving their own material possessions. 1%er capitalists, which participate in the act of philanthropy, are simply giving up a tiny chunk of money they had already gained through de facto exploitation. Robin Hood steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Cool chap, but philanthropists steal from the poor, skim away the good part, and give back the scraps. Thank you for making it through this entire video if you did. If you enjoyed what you heard in this short video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, use your favorite Slavic curse word at me in the comment section. I want you to have a beautiful day, and remember, I fucking love you. Bye.